Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm basically just going to talk about my first 12 weeks in a high risk pregnancy. Of course, I didn't know how high risk I was in those first 12 weeks, but I'm going to go through kind of what my experience has been so far with this pregnancy, maybe compare it a bit to my first pregnancy for those first 12 weeks. So I got engaged on our 5-year anniversary, which was absolutely amazing. It was a beautiful day and it just couldn't have been better. Fast forward about 4.5 weeks, and shockingly, we found out I was pregnant. I hadn't felt very well over the weekend. I thought I had a stomach bug, so I kind of stayed in bed and just did my own thing. My partner told me when he got home to do a test, kind of like as a joke, because the first thing I said when he proposed to me, not the first thing I said, but like not long after he proposed to me, was you just need to try not to knock me up before we get married, as a joke. And of course, that is when we fell pregnant. So it's like quite a funny story, really. I mean, at first I was like, oh God. Now I'm like, oh yay. Like, it's a good thing. It's really lovely. And to be honest, the story is quite sweet. I mean, it was shocking, but it's quite funny how it all happened. So here I am, pregnant. So in those first 12 weeks, we found out at 4.5 weeks. Didn't think the pregnancy would stick, but it did. I have got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so I'm higher risk. I am massively overweight, so I am higher risk. And I found out, I think it was at 12 weeks or 13 weeks, it might have been, that I have low papae. But I didn't know about that before. So in my first trimester, I did have quite a bit of spotting. It was kind of on and off. It was only light. It wasn't bad. With my first pregnancy, I was like period bleeding the entire way through my first trimester and a bit longer. I ended up in hospital a few times because we thought I'd hemorrhaged and things. This time it's not nearly that bad. It's kind of a bit of spotting. Now I know that it could be due to the low papae because it means the umbilical cord doesn't develop fully or properly, or there's issues with it or something. They don't really explain it very well, but yeah, so I had some spotting. I saw my midwife at 8 weeks, and she obviously went through what to expect, not knowing about the low papae, but knowing about my polycystic ovaries, my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and my weight. So I am under consultant-led care, which means every single time I have a scan, I will see my consultant, which is great. I didn't have my 12-week scan, that's standard, but I am going to be seeing her for the first time next week. I was supposed to see her at 16 weeks, was not aware of that. So I'm going to see her next week to meet her and go through everything that I'm going to have to go through. So rest of the first trimester, my morning sickness was awful. It was so bad. With my first, I didn't have a lot. I mean, I had it on and off, didn't have too much. With this one, it was literally my first few weeks. I could not keep food down. I was ending up having like 2 dry crackers a day, just trying to get some sort of calorie in me. I was living on orange juice because that was the only thing I could drink that didn't make me sick, which is weird because I thought orange juice would make you sick because it would curdle, but no. So my morning sickness was absolutely horrendous. I did have cramping quite a bit, but again, that is relatively normal to have cramping when you're pregnant. I had it with my first, I had it with this one. It's basically just your body like moving and shifting and stretching, or starting to, and it's getting ready to hold on to the pregnancy, and your cervix developing and things like that, your mucus plug and all the grossness. So I'm not going to go into that really. I have found in my first trimester that I became very squeamish. Some of you may know that I was a carer for 9 years. I have been there, done that, done the gooey goodness that's involved in care to the furthest extent. I've done quite intense care with tracheostomies and gastrostomies and all sorts of stuff. I've dealt with all those things and never had an issue. Now, since about 6 weeks, so much as watching a program where someone is sick or someone has to take a needle and I am in the bathroom for like 20 minutes. I am so ill because I am so squeamish right now. I'm struggling to handle my son's nappies. It is so bad. And it's only been getting worse. But it started in the first trimester, which is why I brought it up. Food, I didn't really have too many cravings in my first trimester. The only one I had was for chicken, but I tend to have cravings for chicken anyway when I'm due on, so I don't know if that's associated with it, because I think it's something to do with like changing hormones, my body's wanting protein, so I ended up eating loads of spinach and broccoli instead, just because we couldn't afford chicken, and we could get frozen spinach and broccoli for like £1 a bag, which is like great. I don't really think anything else happened that's noteworthy in my first trimester. Obviously, all that happened. I'm just looking at my calendar over you, and I can't see anything on my calendar about appointments or anything that I had other than that. Obviously, I had my blood work done and my 12-week scan, and they all went totally fine. Even with me having such a high BMI, I can't remember what it is, but it's like 50. It's insanely high. I'm morbidly obese, and I'm not shy about that. That's why I was doing keto originally, for that reason. But I didn't have a problem with my scanning. It came out totally fine. Not as good as my son's, but it was still okay. They didn't really struggle to find the baby or anything like that. So don't worry too much about that. They will still see your baby, trust me. They may have complications depending on where your baby is sat, how your baby is angled, and where your placenta is starting to develop. That is the main things that will affect it. Some people will struggle with getting a clearer picture because of the weight, but I'm not being funny. You can struggle to get a clearer picture even if you are smaller. So that's kind of a standard that you've got to expect. So that's my first trimester, basically. That's everything that I went through from what I can tell. I will say this because I don't know how much of it's associated, and I don't know if you've got some experience with this, but my toddler, I think he sensed it very early. My friends and family dogs did as well, because whenever I went over, they were immediately like really protective over me. They'd come and sit by me and not let anyone near me, and they were cuddling into me, which normally they're kind of pretty docile around me, and they were very much like, don't come near her. My toddler was the total opposite. He started hitting me and screaming at me, and he just wasn't happy about something. Something he just could not work out, and he was constantly upset. And because I came off of my antidepressants, anxiety and pain relief, I was already in a very low point, and having him do that made it so much worse, because immediately I kept thinking, oh my god, we have made a massive mistake. He is not going to accept this baby into our lives and everything. But when I hit about 13, 14 weeks, he's actually adjusted quite nicely now. Since we found out, I've been showing him pictures of like what the baby should look like since it started to look kind of like a baby on the Bounty app and the Pregnancy Plus app. I have those, so he'll randomly say baby, and I'll show him the pictures of it, and I'll show him like the eyes, ears, mouth, and we'll play head, shoulders, knees and toes where he points at it all. And like when we do bedtimes, we say mummy kisses, daddy kisses, baby kisses, and he'll come and kiss my tummy and give me a cuddle. And I think that's really helped him to adjust to it. I know that most people won't tell their kids until 12 weeks, but to be honest, I was kind of like, I want to keep him involved as early as possible, especially because he was struggling to handle what was going on with me. And I think it helped him to understand why mummy was different. Because once we started doing all of these things and he started to realize, like, this is baby on mummy's phone, baby is in mummy's tummy, now he can say, like, if we ask him where's baby, he says mummy tummy, and then he'll come and give me a cuddle. And I think that's really helped him to adjust. So now he seems much calmer around me. He's not jumping on me or hitting me or anything. He's not upset with me as much. He has his days, but toddlers do. But I think that helped him to adjust. So I don't know if anyone else has experienced this with toddlers, because obviously he was my firstborn. I haven't seen him around other babies or pregnant women, because I haven't known anyone to be around me who has been pregnant who has met him whilst pregnant. I don't know. I know animals sense it. I don't know about kids. So let me know like what your experience is with that, because I'm very interested to know like how your kids adjusted, if they sensed it before you told them, when you told them, anything really, any stories that you've got would be great. And I'm going to leave it there because we are now at 10 minutes. So Just like, comment and subscribe down below as you normally would, and I will see you in my next video. Mwah!